All right, welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, January 14th. This is the full council meeting of Village of Gulf Manor. If you would join as you're able to read with single
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Turn off if you do roll call, please.
Certainly. Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Dr. Fisher.
Here.
Ms. Reimer. Absent. Ms. Mayo. Absent. Mr. Michelson.
Present. All right. I had heard from both Ms. Primer and Ms. Mail. Both of them had emergencies this evening, which would otherwise be excused. However, I don't believe we can vote to excuse because we can't, when we don't have quorum, we can do that. What I'm going to do is wait 15 minutes, which is my standard policy for folks that might be running late. As I said, my understanding is that they are likely not going to be able to make it. But for the sake of though we can't do any actions as far as voting on anything this evening, we can hear reports. And we've got a couple people here that could give their reports. We can also hear public comments. So during that 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and ask our fire district chief to go ahead and give his report. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I did send Mr. Hurth a copy of the monthly report that I do. Hopefully you guys see that. Looks like for the year, we made 667 calls in the Gulf Manor. It's up a little bit from last year, but not dramatically so. Overall, we were down a little bit from the previous year. A lot of that has to do with our nursing home run volume being down quite a bit, which is unusual, but we'll take it. But this year, as of this afternoon when I left work, we're already up to 200 for the year, just in the first 14 days of the month. So it's been very busy to start 2025. As you guys might be aware, we had a fire last Wednesday night, over at the back of the property of Gulf Manor Self-Storage. It was originally called in as possibly Atlantic Foods over on Section Road, and it turned out to be at the back of the property for the self-storage. What it was actually a RV, a recreational vehicle, probably a 1980s model that was on the property. There was a gentleman inside who said he was doing some work there, and he did receive an injury to his left ankle, some burns. He was treated at UC, and he's still there as of this afternoon. I spoke with him yesterday. He's in good spirits. He gives an explanation on what he was doing, what it was happening before the fire started. Excuse me. And it sounds like it was just an accidental ignition. He was changing a propane tank from a portable grill. He had a portable propane heater in part of the RV. That seems to be the cause, and it makes sense based on what we saw on some surveillance video. It's amazing, actually. So that video starts, and it takes about 20 minutes before anybody was able to see enough fire to call 911. That was the person driving by Atlantic Foods on Section Road. Fortunately, he's going to be okay. Unfortunately, the vehicle's a total loss. So the video is really interesting to see. You can see the fire progression and how long it took for us to get there because the call didn't come in right away. So, but we've been working with a storage company to help them out with their insurance and his insurance and see who does what. But that's where that stands. I will be working on the final report for 2024. I'm in the process of gathering some of the data, running some numbers. So you guys should have that by the next council meeting in February, because I need to get that to my board by our meeting, which is the third Tuesday in February. It'll be kind of similar to what we had last year. It's kind of a snapshot of what we've done for the year. It'll go through some various calls where we were, have some good pictures of everybody in action at some of the events, both PR and fire incidents. So that, look for that probably by about the second week of February. I'll have that out to everybody. And other than that, it's just trying to stay warm and not go out too much, but not so much luck with that so far.
Chief, is there any, unfortunately I wasn't able to make the fire board meeting last month. It's on my calendar, but something's came up. Was there anything that came out of that meeting that would be interesting to hear about?
Nothing really out of the ordinary. We approved new raises for the part-time personnel, which is a big thing. I've talked to the council here before, we talked to my fire board, we are competing for a very small group of firefighter, particularly firefighter paramedics. So we want to retain the people that we have and also be attractive to the people that are coming in to maybe work for us. So that was much needed for them. It puts us about the middle of the pack. We're not the highest, we're not the lowest, but we're also at a place where I think we provide some intangible things that they would appreciate. Good work atmosphere. We don't get on too much about doing things. If the work gets done, the training gets done, the firehouse is clean, be ready to make a run and we're happy. So that's kind of how we try to run the place. Other than that, nothing major coming up for 2025 outside of looking at some potential budget numbers. We're going to be in a levy cycle eventually. We don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. We're just going to have to kind of see where our balances lie. And then we did hear from the ambulance manufacturer that we're on the schedule. All right. Now this is ordered in April of 22 is when we ordered the ambulance. But at the end of December, they were already 100 behind from 2024. So I'm hoping maybe the early second quarter of this year, but it's the same boat. All the manufacturers are 3 to 3.5 years out right now. No matter who you go to, it's a chassis issue from Ford is the big player. But the same issues happening down at Little Miami, same issues happening over at Blue Ash. They ordered theirs about the same time, and they're being told the same thing as we are. So it's unfortunate that things take so long, but we're making the old stuff work.
Question for you, Chief.
Yeah.
Did you say we did or didn't know the back was our property?
I'm sorry.
When the fire, did you say
Oh, yeah.
for the Golf Manor storage, did we know that was the back of our property?
They didn't know for sure where it was. So the driver came down Section Road and called by cell phone and thought it was Atlantic Foods behind their loading docks. And then at some point, another call came in that said that there was a possible fire on Santiville, with the Santiville address with an injury.
Yeah.
And our guys, as they were coming down, we started putting 2 and 2 together, thinking that might be one and the same. But again, it was, I was talking to you out there before, there's no hydrants on the back end of that property. And so to bring water in, we were actually using the hydrant across from the coffee bean roasting facility. So we probably had about 1,400 feet of supply line laid off in that weather on a Wednesday night. So, but that's what we have our mutual aid companies for. Reading was here, Norwood was here, Laughlin was here. Everybody helped out and worked out really well. Just a lot of labor involved.
So do we now know that that's our property? Sure?
Oh yeah, it is definitely, without a doubt, was in the village of Golf Manor. It was just a question of whose property was it on, and then how do you access that?
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
our records reflected that.
Oh yeah, yes.
We know that.
Yep.
It wasn't Golf Manor's property.
We've always
Right,
known
yeah.
that's Golf
Oh,
Manor.
okay.
Yeah.
But most people don't realize once you cross the tracks on that side,
Mm-hmm.
on the north side, that's a strip of Golf Manor that goes all along the railroad tracks. Back to Atlantic Foods, which is not a Golf Manor.
Yeah.
So unless, we always do that, but that's on the map of Golf Manor. So you'll see
That's
it.
good to know.
Yeah, it wasn't a question of like, it was more a question of where is the fire?
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
understood
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, no. So it was
Reports that
challenging.
he himself called over.
So there is, you can see on the video that he was near to the mobile home, and then he left about 20 minutes after the fire started, which we think might be the phone call that alerted the county that there was an injury, because he did go to the front office and talk to somebody there, and then actually walked the fire truck back to where the incident was. So he was back and forth quite a bit, trying to help us locate it. So we're actually, we've requested the 911 calls and the radio traffic from the county so we can just get a better understanding of where the calls came from. But his call wouldn't have been made because he lost his cell phone in the RV. It burned up in the fire. So his only access point would have been the call from the office. So we're trying to judge. We think that second call might have been from the actual victim himself.
And apparently there was a couple other emission releases that were occurring at some of the factories and I wanted to thank Chief Meter. So right. So out in Blue Ash, I'm getting calls from friends in Blue Ash saying, we hear there's a fire in Gulf Manor. There's all kinds of smells here in Blue Ash. And I'm like, that's you guys that smell. And it was after 11 o'clock at night. I texted Chief Meter here. He calls me up and explains everything that's going on. So I would just want to thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you did hear any rumors about a chemical smell, I don't have 100% confirmation, but we are 99% sure it came from a flavoring company that is for food additives. They had run a flavoring of lemon, which would be the citrus smell that a lot of people were calling 911 about. And then after that was transferred over, they were doing a run of grape. And that blew up the phone lines for the county. We knew what was going on, but like Reading, St. Bernard had calls on it. We know that Springfield Township had calls on it, and it was being smelled as far away as Sycamore Township and Blue Ash. So, but it had nothing to do with it, just a coincidence that happened. And then you know how social media sometimes gets things spun up. And so it was definitely not the fire that we had in Gulf Manor. So.
Thank you so much. Any other
Remember that?
other
You see it?
questions for Chief Meter? Thank you.
Okay. Good to see everybody, and I will have a report to you early February, and we'll see you all at the February council meeting. Okay. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Chief Campbell, should we go through?
Chief Campbell has to be from we can't.
What's that? Oh, we can't approve his report, but we can still, we can't, whatever you call it, plus the report. We can still,
Bless
We appreciate it.
Bless it.
I'll go ahead and give
See, Chief.
I did not receive one.
Am I gonna,
Any,
I'm registered. Should I go?
oh, yes,
Bother or
yes,
not?
I'm going to, I want to.
Okay, before he leaves, because I got
Exactly, yeah, exactly, that's what I was thinking. Is there anybody, just so I know moving forward, are there any chairs of committee here that would like to give reports tonight?
I
No,
was, for community
community
engagement.
engagement, okay. So why don't we hear that report, community engagement, and then would you be, let me go in the opposite direction. Would you give your reports, please, Chief Campbell, and then we can excuse you, and then have the community engagement on a public comment.
I want him here when I talk.
Oh,
So
okay.
whatever you want to do.
Let's,
But I just missed you.
yes, I'm sorry, I'm not even following my own notes here, I apologize. Lou Marks is a registered speaker this evening. Would you
Yes.
please step forward and give your address?
Yeah, put the podium up here.
Yes.
It's very good. It's actually written. We're supposed to have a podium.
Yeah, that's
I love
right.
it.
I like this president.
Yeah, I'll try not to be 3 minutes. Lou Marks, I live at 6402 Fair Oaks. Half the people think I live on Fair Oaks, the other people believe I live on Bremont, so I'm at the Quorum. 3 subjects. One, I want to give a big thank you to the maintenance department. They had that's Jim Putoff, let's see, Joe, Andy, Jaden, Aiden, Logan, and Joe and Jim Putoff. Okay. So they had a very
Eric
tough
was on
lease.
the
Huh?
truck. Eric was also in the truck.
Were you in the truck? Were you a leafer? I didn't see you.
I was in a flower for an hour. and a
Oh, the
half.
plower. Okay, that's a different, yeah. So the leaf thing, you know, we had the drought, and then of course, when they started leaves, it started raining like every other day. So they had a very hard job getting leaves because that thing was getting clogged with the wet leaves anyway. They normally have a hard job, but they really work their butts off. And then as soon as I got done with leaves, we had the snowmageddon. And again, they were out for 48 hours almost straight trying to staff and plow. But if anybody knows, if you left Gulf Manor and you either went on to Langdon Farm or Lozannaville, you know what the difference is between Gulf Manor and the city of Cincinnati. That's very, very clear. You can easily go through Ridgewood to Amberley in places, but you know, other than that. So big thank you to the maintenance department. They did a hell of a job. And then GMPD, I want to thank the chief. I don't know if some of you are aware, we had a number of weeks ago, we had a series of car break-ins, 4, one of which the car was stolen right from the front of the house. 3 of the break-ins were in a driveway, somebody's driveway, right outside their bedroom window. So it was a pretty, you know, you don't expect all of that, you know, maybe 1 car, but not 4. And then we also, a friend of ours, car got broken into in Englewood, which, you know, Englewood's in Gulf Manor, but their house is Cincinnati. Anyway, Gulf Manor police responded to that. We also had a suspicious black sedan parking in various spots on Bremont. And I can tell you by the little lights you can see inside that might have been a drug activity. And so Every one of the neighbors who called Gulf Manor, they showed up immediately. Sometimes the car was gone, but fortunately, one of the times, the guy came by, they were able to scan it, with a temporary tag. Some of the neighbor was gonna approach the guy, and they said, "You don't approach a drug car." I don't know what you're thinking, but don't do it, So the good news is that one of the neighbors up there has organized the Bremont neighbors text string, and now we have all the neighbors and all their cell phones. Everybody knows each other's cell phone. We can just pull up Bremont neighbors if something happens. Probably won't happen for 10 years, but at least, they're in that. And as the chief said, would you please make sure people don't go out and approach anybody, that they call us first. That's usually the thing to do. But anyway, thanks to you and your group. It's really nice. We appreciate the service all the time.
I'll pass that on.
Okay, good. And then my other thing is, this is a little personal complaint, is Canterbury. Down trees and limbs have been on Lozanville Country Club property for at least a year. And you see it because you live there, and I know Mr. Hurst sees it. I would request that someone here, they could call the LCC and tell them to clean that up. It looks terrible for Gulf Manor. You think you're gonna drive by a golf course, and all you see is junk all along Canterbury, right in front of your house, right? And you know what it looks like. So if we could, maybe Mr. Hurst or somebody, I don't know, maybe it's Mr. Putoff, but somebody make a call, and that would be very much appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, had a conversation with our attorney today about it.
Oh, good.
Mr. Hurst wasn't feeling well, so wasn't able to be in.
Yeah.
But I talked to our attorney today about it, and yeah, we're reaching out to the country club. As you know, with your experience on council, we've dealt with the country club. We've had a relationship with the country club for a while concerning them not dealing with the tree line there and
Mowing.
Mowing. The trees are growing into the street where you're having trucks hitting the branches and everything going by. It's been a difficult relationship, and there was a period of time there where it seemed like it was going pretty well. But here recently, with the storms that came through, a lot of trees came down. Duke came out, cut up a bunch of those trees, put them all on the side of the road, and they haven't been picked up. So,
I've been here 53 years, and they have never actually ever continuously taken care of that property. So, it's not going to go away. It just would be nice to get that cleaned up. And last, I guess you're all aware that the massive house on Bremont sold.
I did not know that. Wow.
What?
Oh, that one?
The $800,000 house
$737,000 is listed.
with no pool in the back.
Not even a hot tub.
I looked at it.
So that's like 3 times the average price of a house in Gulf Manor, or 4.
Two kitchens.
Huh? Yeah, the down payment was $148,000.
What they look like.
They have 2 very nice SUVs. So
Any children?
I haven't seen. But anyway, we've been waiting 6 years for that house to be finished and sold. So those of us that are neighbors have been looking at that thing.
Waiting that long for it to be finished being built.
Yeah, it took 5 or 6 years for it to be built. Anyway, so we now have a $750,000 house in Gulf Manor. Who'd have thought?
We will raise property values and increase some tax revenue.
He's just looking at, that's tax revenue.
He's looking for a survey, my taxes are going up, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all. Appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Chief,
Lou, your chair's empty here.
So what was the decision on the mayor's court report? Yes or no?
I would ask that you go ahead without objection. Go ahead and read it, and then at our next council meeting, I can ask if it will just be approved.
Okay.
At that time.
All right, I'll start with that. For the month of December, total to the village was $2,541. Total to the state, $623. Total to the county was $21 for a grand total of $3,185. That's the end of the December mayor's court report.
Thank you. We have an activity report as well.
I do. Also, part of this mayor's court report, that brings the year total to $62,966.50. Last year was $58,805. So it just shows an increase in activity. The citation report that ties to that, for the month of December, there were 44 citations written. The most common one was expired license plates. And then the next thing I have is the activity report. The month of December, officers had 165 officer-initiated calls, and there were 183 dispatch calls, bringing a total of 348 calls for the month of December. Last thing I'll report is one of our officers was in one of the unmarked vehicles that we've discussed here in council before, the Dodge, the Dodge Avenger? That vehicle, while he was driving, he was on Cross County Highway. He was hit head on by a wrong way driver.
He's the one.
Yes. We're very fortunate. He might have to have an orthopedic issue repaired, but other than that, he came away unscathed. That vehicle was a loss. And that's all I have.
Was that, did that accident happen like at night, during the day?
At night, yeah. The 23rd of December.
Okay. Yeah, was he hospitalized?
No. He was very fortunate. He went home that night and morning, and then we made sure he went to the hospital the next day. Got checked out. But he was running on adrenaline after that.
Condolences to the family and of course, to the whole department. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. Any other public comment requested this evening?
I just have something to ask the police chief. That's okay. Do we, in the summer, we had started a task force, I think is the right term, to look at like all the youth that were like running around shooting those ORB guns and stuff. Is that task force still in effect? Only because there were a few young individuals on Vera past couple of weeks who I've noticed with those. Unfortunately, it was on days I couldn't use the phone to call anything in. But I just wanted to find out if that's still something that we're actively looking at.
We're not doing additional youth directed overtime. There hasn't been a call for it. My guess is these are probably holiday gifts that are going to get some people in trouble.
Probably.
I'll rely on our patrol to make contact with people they see that maybe going towards making mistakes and make sure that they're behaving properly with that. We did budget for this upcoming year to have the ability to do something like that again should the need arise.
I might touch base with you just to let you know the area that this was kind of happening
Sure.
a couple times. So,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Chief Campbell?
What, are we talking to the parents of these children?
Yeah. That's one of the first things we do is we try to make contact with the kids, make sure that they understand, you're playing, but people see what you're doing or people might get hurt or property might get damaged. And we try to relate that to the parents as well. Over the summer, to kind of catch people up, there was an issue when school first let out, and there were pellet guns involved, and who knows if anybody had anything more than that. It was getting out of hand. Uninvolved residents were getting shot at. Property was getting